So you're growing up with your brothers in St. Louis. Talk
Yes.
to me about how faith was in your family, or how you
So you
found the
know
Lord
what?
yourself.
Our mom and dad, we were born. My parents went to church faithfully.
Yeah.
My dad was a deacon at our church, at the church we grew up in. My mom always was at church. She was involved in the women's Bible study, and we were reared in church. We went to a Baptist church they had some strong Baptist convictions,
Mm-hmm.
but not too over the top. So, and then at one point, which I now understand, my mom didn't go as often, and I think that was her time she made sure we went. And she
Got
and
the
my
kids there.
yeah,
She wasn't
yeah,
always there.
yeah. Once we got to a certain point, and I think that was her moment to kind of have a minute to herself to regroup.
Oh, I gotcha.
But church music was always in the house. My mother was always a gospel music person, an AM radio station
What were those
person.
songs you remember?
Oh, I don't. Some not James Cleveland, before James Cleveland came out, but a lot of the Mississippi Mass Choir, just the old songs. And we used to go to BTU as kids,
I don't know what that is.
Baptist Training Union.
Okay, what is the Baptist Training Union?
So that would be like on a Sunday evening around 5 or 6 o'clock, and it would be all the old people in the church, but it was Bible study.
Oh, okay, it's just
And
a
they
Bible
had
study type
old
of thing.
hymns
Okay.
with no I mean, John, it was good stuff.
Oh, I
it was
imagine.
it was. And it would be the music with the old hymn books that everybody knew, and there would be an older a cappella group that would sing. It was amazing. When you look back on it, it's like, man, where did that go?
Yeah.
But so we were always at some type of church function, and we liked it. Church was normal for us. My dad was a person that always reading the Bible. Read the Bible every day. You could go into his room especially after my mom had passed. You can go into his room, and he'd always have the Bible open. He'd be laying sitting across his bed with his book open. He read every day and every morning.
Yeah, I think that's strong, especially thinking about how many fathers are not only not saved. Typically I'm talking about in the church, right? In the church, you see often the mom bring the kids
all the
and
time.
the dad's the one who never shows up, right? So you're expressing that dad had the Bible at home, and he was
both of my
not only did they go to church, but he was reading the Bible at home. That's a big deal.
And then let me tell you, we hated it as kids, but they would give us, my mother and father would give us a Sunday school lesson, and we'd be like,
oh, we just did this.
do we have to do this today?
We just went to the union last week.
I'm like, I hate this today. Why did he do this? I wanted to play. So it may have been some times that maybe, or honestly, my parents would just, not randomly, but sometimes they'd be like, come on down. We're going to have Bible study. It's Wednesday. What do you mean? But they never beat us over the head with things. That's one thing I really, looking back, appreciate them. They never forced anything on us. We did have a house of discipline, not
What's
that
that mean?
we knew what the belt was, the switch was, the ruler. My mom had wooden spoons on the kitchen wall that were like 2 feet tall.
Wooden spoons, 2 feet tall. Thinking.
That probably about that big.
And so those they kept those on the shelf.
Hey,
They were
those were weapons of mass destruction. And it used to be, so they were disciplinarians.
Yeah.
But never to the point that you felt like you were, oh my God, I need to call help. No, we deserve some stuff.
Yeah, that's interesting. So, so some of the child psychology today will tell you that you got to get rid of the rod. Now, the Bible talks about the rod, and so I've gone back and forth on this in my own personal life with my kids. It's like spanking was a thing when we first got the kids. First, we were like no spanking. Then I brought spanking around when I realized the kids are troublemakers. Then I realized I was maybe doing it too often.
Okay.
And so I was like, so I took it off the table for about a year or so, and then we had our third child, and it got re-implemented. But I think about the rod. I think about a switch, and people have used all sorts of things over the years. And you'll hear people talk about, my dad brought out the belt, or you had to go pick out the tree stick or whatever. From the
pick
yard.
out that switch. Yeah.
So someone who grew up in that environment, where you had the 2-foot wooden kitchen stick, do you feel like was it easier to separate the punishment from the? Because I feel like they say, this is what they say. I guess this is the point I'm trying to make. When you use your hand, it's part of your body, and they connect it to you, and that they say don't use your hand. Maybe it's better to use an instrument or something instead. Did you feel like that made any difference, whether or not they were using their hand or whether they were using a?
Not a difference at all. I don't think there was any. I'm just glad we're over it.
Yeah. Oh, no doubt. Right.
I was glad at the time when they realized, okay, these kids are too big for us to do this.
Yeah.
But no, I don't feel any of that. I don't, like I said, my parents weren't abusers.
Sure.
They were disciplinarians.
Yeah.
And I think as a result, none of us have been to jail. None of us has done drugs. We've
There's
never,
some value
you
in
know,
that, right?
yeah, absolutely. And we feared our parents.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how kids, one of my friends' son picks and chooses, or was picking and choosing about going to school.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how does he knows he has to come home, right? And I'm like, how do you think it's okay to miss classes? Even to this day, I'm 50 years old. My mother passed, 23 years ago. And even to this day, it's certain things I'm kind of like, I don't know if I should. So we feared them. We weren't afraid of them, but we feared them with a level of respect.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes that's not a bad thing.
No, my mom was 4'3" or something. Like, she's not really that short, but she's a very short woman. And unfortunately she gets shorter. She gets old sometimes. That's not the point. I love my mom. My mom is the best.
Absolutely.
I fear her with great authority.
Yeah.
I don't have any tattoos on my body because mom told me if you get a tattoo, something's gonna happen to you. Now, I've been bigger than my mom for the last 30 years. You know what I'm saying? Like, she's not threatening me realistically,
right?
But here I am.
You think about
tattoos,
it. You remember it.
And
it's those things that they've impressed. Yeah.
I better not get one because
then you're still living fine without it.
And
it's one of those things. But yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. It's an interesting dynamic, and I see a lot with children. And I joke sometime and go like, "Ooh, a good little paddling to set that a long way."